Good afternoon and welcome back to the Channel World Seed Studio. It's Innovation Day here at the Congress, and of course the global seed sector is constantly evolving to meet challenges around sustainability, efficiency, regulation, and producing better outcomes for growers around the world, which makes it very fitting that I'm about to have this next conversation with Incotec, a company that has long positioned itself at the forefront of seed enhancement and technology. And I am delighted to be joined by Huib Koerts, who is the Senior Sector Sales Manager for Vegetables for Europe, Middle East and Africa at Incotec. Now, Huib is relatively new to Incotec. It's, I think, about his 1 year anniversary now. He joined the company last April, but he's not new to the seed sector. He's got over 25 years experience across the agricultural and seed industries. So Huib, thank you so much for joining. And I'll begin by asking, what attracted you to Incotec and what's the last year been like for you?
Yeah, it has been a great year working for Incotec. Like I said, I've experienced for 25 years in the industry. I started with De Ruiter, Monsanto, Bayer. I've done there multiple roles in commercial and strategy. And of course, when you're involved in the commercial and the product management, I've known Incotec already for a very long time, right? Because it has been a very strong partner already in that time when I was working at the company. Because we want to enhance our seed and bring the right quality to our customers in the right time, obviously. So I was impressed in the cooperation that we had at that time, or that I had at that time with Incotec. And also my colleagues were very positive, so I informed them when I was intending to move to Incotec, and they said this is the right company to go for. And what I thought up front is Incotec is known for delivering the right quantity in the right quality and adding value, right? And bringing the right value towards the customers. And I've been now a year in that company, moving from Bayer to Incotec. And of course it's a total different dynamic, right? Yeah. Moving from a large multinational to Incotec, who is part of a multinational, but remained his identity. And I like the directness. Yeah, I like the expertise that is around. Our CEO, Bruno, is around for 29 years. He really knows the market, he really knows what he's talking about. Han, the business director, is already for more than over a decade within Incotec. And you see there is a lot of expertise, right? And that's what I really like. And there is this, as we call it, West Frisian directness. Yeah. So the Dutch can be direct. Believe me, in West Frisian they can be very direct as well, and that's making things happen, right? Decisions are made fast, and then together with knowledge that is around, that is really what has been exciting me most. And it's adding also knowledge, right? I'm challenged by learning new things around seed enhancement, because sometimes as a seed company you take things for granted, right? That you can sell your seed with the right quality, but there is a whole world behind it. And it's really interesting to get an understanding of a new part in the value chain that can really make a difference. So that, for me, has been very learningful, but in a nice environment.
It sounds like it's been such a positive move.
No, absolutely. I'm glad I made the move.
And of course, I said it's Innovation Day today at the conference, and that's really at the heart of what Incotec does. Yeah. What would you say is that main driver in behind the business and innovation today? What's really driving it?
Yeah. I think the main thing is understanding what's happening in the market, right? And our customers come towards us for multiple reasons, right? The seeds come in one go, so it's in a way risk mitigation. Sometimes you don't want to send all the seeds in one moment in one company, or you want to have capacity. All the seeds come in one moment, and then you need more capacity, right? And we can do that part, but we really aim at adding value. That is in the heart of our strategy also. That we want to do the extra mile. So when you talk about priming, for example, you can prime for speed or for uniformity, but you can also add value, right? Where you say, okay, you can have priming at higher temperatures or at lower temperatures. And for that, you need to understand really what's going on into the market. Okay. So we have our customers, the seed companies, and what we're also intending to is also what is the need of the customer of our customers. So we are working together with the customers and to say, okay, what are your needs? Where might seed enhancement provide a solution? And with these discussions, we are much able to bring the solution to the right table.
Can you take us through some of the innovations that are happening, maybe bring us up to date?
Yeah. Now, for example, I talked about priming, and when you talk about watermelon, we have developed a new priming, and we all know, well, the climate is changing, so it's getting hotter on this planet. But the growers are responding by that by sowing earlier, and at that moment it's colder, right? So what we have done, we have developed a priming that is giving the same speed and the same uniformity at the lower temperatures, right? So up to 15 degrees, you get the same experience from a germination perspective as you normally would get when it's 20 or 22 degrees, right? And you only get that when you are in contact with your customers and understand their needs. And then we have been able to develop that added value to the priming that is in a way a common practice, right? But that is again something that we would like to do with Incotec.
Okay.
And it's the same with lettuce. For example, our priming is working also towards temperatures above 30 degrees, right? Because in certain areas like Central Europe, the impact of the climate is so big that it really helps that the growers or the plant raisers can sow the lettuce and have right germination levels with that priming that's helping them up to way above 30 degrees. So these are two examples that we are providing added value.
You've mentioned some of the challenges, obviously, that is leading with some of these developments, but can you maybe go into a little bit more about how you're doing some of the research into finding out what solutions you're coming up with, some of the outreach that you're doing as part of this to really understand the challenges you're trying to solve?
Yeah. Well, there are also, and that's what we're looking for partnerships also. And in a couple of weeks, you have a partnership meeting, a co-meeting with a customer, where we say, okay, we want to approach a specific market, and we have a panel with experts where we say, okay, where we dive into the specifics of a market and say, okay, how is the market looking like? What are the needs? And where do we believe that seed enhancement can provide a solution? And with that, we agree about, okay, these are the targets that we provide for innovation, and this would be the value for our customers. And I think these kind of discussions are really interesting because it's also strengthening the relationship that you have with your customer, and you define clearly what do you need at the end of the day, and then what is worth also towards the customers and the markets. So that's more or less in the process, and we are getting the hang of it, I would say. And that is also enjoyable, and I didn't mention that with Incotec, is that it has broadened also my perspective, because I've worked for specific markets with one customer, but you see there is a clear difference between customers. They're very different in their approach and also different in their needs. And that makes it interesting to get also in a platform like ISF, that you are in contact and that you say that is our ambition, that we are on a strategic level interacting with each other and say, okay, listen, let's get around the table, around your strategy, and where can we support you in the levels of seed enhancement.
In every sector right now, we're having conversations about AI and digitalization. How is AI beginning to influence seed enhancement and the work happening within Incotec?
Yeah. For me it was a very welcoming surprise when I landed at Incotec to see that we have quite a large team for the size of the company of data scientists. So in a way, more than a decade ago, the Croda or Incotec already invested heavily in data because they saw it was the future. And an example here of what it has brought us is that when you look at tomato rootstocks, for example, that is a very hard product to make it germinate uniform and have the highest quality levels that are required in the market. And we have developed a unique priming for it. But also in a way how we have developed a concept called X-ray, where we look at the embryos and based on with the X-ray of the image of the embryo of the seed, we can predict whether it's going to be a good seed or whether it's going to be a non-germinating seed. And that is how it started, right? But in a way it was a quite lengthy process because in the beginning we had to germinate the seed, see how the batch was behaving, then do your priming, then do your sowing again, because you want to see what is the effect. Then you say, okay, let's have a X-ray, then you need the sowing again. And by nowadays, we have been treating so many seeds and we have developed models that we can say on the base characteristics of the batch, we can predict what will be the influence of the priming and what will be the influence of the X-ray. So we have shortened the lead times from 7 months up to 7 weeks. And you can imagine what is doing that for a lead time for your customers, because they can bring the seats much faster to the market, right? And in a better quality at the end of the day. And I think this is something that was recognized, and that is where it's bringing a lot of value.
And obviously, been with Incotec a year, 25 years in the wider industry. What's exciting you most about the future of AI, and where do you see it could have the biggest impact?
Yeah, you see, there's exciting times anyway, okay? Because on one hand, you see the seat production is also getting more difficult at the end of the day. Yeah? So the quality of the seat, the starting point is getting less. You see demand of the customers on the other hand is increasing, so they expect a better quality, right? So the impact that you can have on seat enhancement is increasing. Right? And then also when you walk around here and the level of technologies that are developing, I think is encouraging, right? I can think we get more tools at the end of the day to bridge that larger gap. Right? On the other hand, what we believe that we with AI can do is that if you have multiple technologies, that you can make the equation bigger than the sum of the parts. I'm not sure, I'm translating it from Dutch, so I'm not sure whether I'm doing a good job here. But you can imagine what I want to say is that it's easy to get at 80%, doing things at 80%. It's easy to buy a machine and get it on 80% running, right? But our markets are expecting 90, 95% or higher. And we believe with our models and with our data scientists that we can bring them to that level. And that's where we see the added value of Incotec, right? Is that we can bridge that next step towards the highest levels that are required for the markets.
Another huge topic that obviously, given the time frame that we're on here, is moving towards microplastic free. Is this something, how are you preparing for this at Incotec? Can you give us a bit of an update on your progress?
Yeah, that's right. Kijk, on the one hand, these are impactful for us also. Kijk, you can look at the innovations and say, where can we add value? But it's also about sustainability. And microplastics are an issue. But if you want to change your portfolio to microplastic free, that can't be underestimated how difficult that is. So all the seat enhancement companies are confronted with it, like we were a couple of years ago. We recognized it. We started early, in a way, with the development of microplastic-free products, and we have developed in several products like lettuce or tomatoes, the first levels already. For some of the parts we are still validating, and we expect by the end of this year that the complete portfolio will be microplastic-free. But if you put your high standards when the products are microplastic-free for microplastics containing, it is quite hard to make them at the same standards because you don't want to lose quality at the end of the day, right? So that has been the challenge that everyone faces, and also Incotec. But like we started early and we keep on improving ourselves. So for parts we are bringing now the 1.0 versions. For some parts we are already developing the 2.0 versions. So by January 28, the market in Europe at least should also be microplastic free. And we are right on schedule for delivering on that target.
And a lot of the regulatory push obviously is in Europe, but how is this extending to other parts of your business, other parts of the world? Is that something that you're working towards?
No, absolutely. We have in June, we have a large product launch in corn in Brazil with a microplastic-free film coat. So in in North America, we're developing new concepts and launching new products. And like in Europe. So in Europe, like I said, by the end of this year, all our products in vegetables will be microplastic free. So that is the ambition, and that is keeping us busy also at these days.
And just as we begin to wrap up, what are you most excited for about the future, whether that's with Incotec, that's maybe more specifically for the wider seed sector? What's really exciting you about the future?
I think a strength within the sector is and also the way on the informal way that we interact with each other, and the cooperation that has brought us to the next levels, right? And there are quite complex cases coming at us, right? And you need each other to bring the solutions, and you need to do that together. And like mentioned with the partnerships that we want to have, it requires that effort to say, okay, we need to solve this together. And that is where I think, again, this ISF is also a very nice platform. We had several discussions already, and well, the whole there are full tables full of these kind of conversations where you say, okay, how can we connect, and how can we bring that solution to the market? And again, there are quite some big challenges ahead of us, but also here, when you walk around, there are also quite some solutions there. But bringing them together, I think, is the effort.
I think we heard it yesterday in the opening ceremony, obviously that point around building partnerships, collaboration, that's obviously such an important thing for you at this conference and so many of these events that I know you've got coming up, the one in June you've mentioned. We are going to have to pause there, but thank you so much for your time, for sharing some of the work that's happening, some of the progress around transitioning to microplastic free and some of the great innovations you're working on. Now, Huib is going to be around for the next short time, I think, and you've got the Incotec booth right behind you. If anyone wants to follow up in any of these conversations, make sure you do catch him afterwards. But just a huge thank you for joining us on Channel World Seed, and for everyone joining online and in our audience. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Claire, for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.